Hello.
Good morning.
It's the Silver Screen Sisters.
Hello.
How are you today?
Well, I'm pretty good.
Good.
Considering I'm staying away from living human beings, that's a challenge.
Hit it.
They're here.
Don't cross the streams.
Bueller.
I'll have what she's having.
Great Scott!
Why did it have to be snakes?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Bueller.
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
I'll be back.
I am your father.
Bueller.
I feel the need. Grenade for speed.
It's showtime.
All right. Hello, sister.
Hello, sister.
How's your day going?
That's going pretty good. Have a little bit of a stiff shoulder, but other than that, I don't know. It's actually sunny up here today, which, whoa.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty warm out. It's funny that I'm in the closet doing this. Afterwards, I'm going to go sit outside, probably.
Yeah, I think I'll have to do that, too. But how are you? How are you feeling? And all the things. How are the kids?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. All around things are good.
Good.
No more sickness in this house. I felt like the whole month of February, everybody was sick for like 3 weeks at a time.
Yep.
Which makes sense because the last 2 years we haven't been all together.
Yeah.
So the, viruses are strong this season.
Yes. Oh, goodness.
But now we're good. And yeah, just doing all the things, cleaning, cooking. Kids are good.
Never ending story. Sorry, I didn't mean to trigger you with that one.
It always gets me, man. It's like it sounds refreshing, and then I'm like, oh.
Dude, I have a story for you.
And I'm not the only one.
I know you're not the only one, but I have a story for you. So
okay.
I was at physical therapy, and one of the gals that I work with there, it's a very sweet gal. Shout out to Heidi. She told me that she listened to our Never Ending Story episode, and she was like, dude, your sister, she was upset with that movie, wasn't she? I was like,
I was
yeah.
really upset.
She was triggered hard. It was pretty funny. She was really cute about it.
Yeah. Some people were, man.
Yeah. I mean,
it's rough for some of us.
Right? Anyway, I thought I would share that story because that was pretty funny.
Well, I'm glad people are listening. That makes me feel better.
We're not getting any messages, so,
Ah, well, whatever.
Whatever.
It's fine.
We'll get there.
We'll probably get one or two in the next week, hopefully. Who knows?
Right?
Well, it's time to tell nobody who we talked to last week. Right?
It's time to tell nobody. Yes, let's do it.
It's time to tell nobody.
Yeah, so Sophie, what did we do last week?
Yeah, so last week we got to interview Larry Hankin.
Whoop, whoop.
Woohoo! And for nobody listening, he's been in a lot of stuff. I mean, come on.
Oh my God.
They'll laugh later when they are listening.
That works.
But yeah, what has he been in?
Yeah, he's been in a lot of things. He even says he knows that he is, quote, that guy that everybody, knows when we see him, but maybe we don't know his name. He even has a book coming out in 6 months called That Guy, which I think is just hilarious and meta, and I just love that he's acknowledging that. And, the guy's had a fantastic career. A couple of things that he's been in. The biggest thing that he was in was Escape from Alcatraz, which was a Clint Eastwood movie. Nobody listening may know him from Friends. He was Mr. Heckles in Friends. He also was in Breaking Bad for a couple of episodes. I have not seen Breaking Bad, which you will hear in this interview. But
she needs to see it.
I do.
But continue.
And he also reprised that role in El Camino, the movie. He was also in Billy Madison. He was in Annie as the dog catcher. He was also in Seinfeld. I don't know if anybody remembers this episode. I do, but it was like an episode within an episode. And so they had actors who were playing them playing a Seinfeld episode while they were doing it was pretty funny. But he played Kramer. He played the guy who would have been playing Kramer in that episode, which I thought was pretty funny as well.
He did great.
Oh yeah. He did great, and you should absolutely, we talk about that in this interview, and he had a pretty funny story about the audition process for that. But yeah, and the biggest thing that I really wanted to point out, well, a couple things. He did cameos in the 80s in things like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles and Home Alone. Home Alone, he was the police officer that Kevin's mom calls, and he's like transferring her to somebody else, and then she gets transferred back to him.
Family Crisis Intervention, Sergeant Balzac.
I'm calling from Paris. I have a son who's home alone.
Has a child been involved in a violent altercation with drunken and/or mentally ill member of his immediate family?
No.
Has he been involved in a household accident?
I don't know. I hope not.
Has the child ingested any poison and/or any other object that has become lodged in his throat?
No, he's just home alone. And I would like somebody to go over to the house and see that he's all right, just to check on him.
You want us to go to your house just to check on him?
Yes.
Let me connect you with the police department.
But lastly, in the 80s, he wrote, directed, and starred in a short film called Solly's Diner. It's actually on YouTube. I will link it in the show notes. It's only 10 minutes long, but I highly recommend that everybody watch it because it's quite funny and it is pretty ingenious. I mean, what other...
And it won him an Academy Award.
It absolutely won him an Academy Award for this. Just go watch it. Go watch it. It's great. We'll link it.
He's been in a lot of stuff.
He's been in so much stuff. Like, this guy, number one, he was really cool to talk to. I don't know. What about you? What did you think?
Oh, it was great. It was at the end of my sickness, so I noticed I don't talk a lot. Which,
yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. I wasn't my cool self.
And you know what? To be fair, Sophie and I have never done an interview before, so we were all like...
Let alone with a celebrity.
And so we were worried about the questions that we were going to be asking him and making sure we were very polite and everything, but I didn't even consider the fact that you guys can't see us while we are talking to him. But just know that every time that he's talking, which is quite a bit... We are grinning like loons and just nodding all the time and
We're
staring
really intently at his face.
Exactly. He was so engaging. I can't he was just talking and talking and I just loved every minute of it because it just felt like a conversation. It didn't feel like a structured interview and I thought it was great.
Right. He's really easy to talk to. It was really fun and we got to hear more stories besides just movies. I like how he talks about, the Playboy situation, but we'll get there.
You'll love that story.
I do want to give a shout out, though, because we were presented this opportunity because when we started, we kind of half-ass promoted here and there.
Oh, yeah, we don't even know what we're doing.
That's what we did. We got to promote. That's the only way we're going to get all you nobodies listening, But somebody was listening. His name's Steven Joyner, and he reached out to me. He's a publicist, but also a childhood actor. Mm-hmm. So he's been really getting into podcasts the last couple of years, and he's been finding different podcasts that would have great interviews with certain stars, such as Larry Hankin. So he reached out to me, and we talked a little bit, and that's why we were able to do this interview. So we're going to link Steven's information below as well. Really cool dude. I am looking forward to talking to him more. I hope he listens to this. If not, no worries. We know.
We know nobody's listening.
Yeah, nobody's listening, right? A lot of nobodies. But yeah, it was just a really awesome opportunity, and I can't wait to see what else we do in the future.
Yeah,
so, thank you, Steven.
We didn't even think that we would ever interview anybody. It wasn't even a thing on our docket. It was weird but cool, but weird.
Yeah, so with this whole interview process, we will definitely do it here and there if the opportunity comes by. Again, we weren't thinking about interviewing people, but we can't say no to this opportunity.
Of course.
So, yeah, I hope you guys really enjoy it. We did. We've got a couple more things to say about this interview. Mm-hmm. First off, I was in a different setup upstairs. Thank goodness for my husband, Cody. Otherwise, I don't know if I would have been able to get this interview recorded.
Uh-huh, yeah.
He's good with computers. I'm not. And a couple times I hit stop on the recording. So we're just going to kind of jump in after a couple minutes because I messed up. However, it's a great conversation.
We really
talk about a lot of cool things. We talk about the interview process in general.
And pot.
And pot.
Yeah, like a little bit.
That's always good to talk about, I think.
Kind of in the beginning, I think we talk a little bit about his artwork. I will be linking his website, his artwork in the show notes below. And I will also be linking Solly's Diner in the show notes.
And his artwork is beautiful.
It is amazing.
So we'll be talking about it. You guys can't see it, obviously, when he shows it to us.
We'll post some pictures of it on our group page, our Facebook group and the Facebook page, and Instagram and all that kind of fun stuff. We'll yeah.
All right. Well, any last words before we let them listen?
As always, just feel free to send us any stories or if you have feedback. We are on basically all the social medias. It's all linked in our website as well. And there's also a contact form on our website that you're more than welcome to send us any message anytime. You can even just say hi. We'd just be happy to know that somebody's listening. And
nobody finally wrote to us.
I know, right? And then our email address, if you just want to email us directly, connect@silverscreensisters.com.
Perfect.
All right, cool. Please, if you enjoy the interview, if you enjoy us, if you enjoy any of our other episodes, share it. Rate and review if you can. If you could just share it with people, that's all we really care about.
It keeps us going.
And it keeps us going, absolutely.
All right, Billy. Well, I hope everyone enjoys this. It was such a delight.
It really was. It was a pure delight, and I'm really glad we got an opportunity to talk to him because it was fabulous. And I would love to talk to him again, honestly. I just want to go have coffee with the dude because he was just so chill.
When pandemic's over, for sure.
Absolutely.
But anyways, all right. Well, you have a good day, sister.
You too. I love you. And here we are with the interview.
All right.
What good are we, right?
Well, then what's the point?
What is the point with Google everywhere now, right?
Right. Oh, I can Google it. Okay.
You know that, and I've done these interviews on Zoom, and we'll be talking about a topic, whatever it is, and somebody will say, well, they'll ask me a question about some movie or TV show that I did a long time ago that I don't even remember, And it's, well, what about how was it working with that girl? On that girl. And for a second, maybe I don't remember. That was a long time ago. And they'll come up with the answer, just like that, because they've just Googled what they asked me. And Google comes up much faster than my answer.
You and me both.
So what's the point?
I feel that. I always I love watching interviews with authors because authors, they start talking about the characters and their story and all that stuff. And I'm like, I don't even remember writing chapter 1. It was such a blur. Like,
well, that's exactly. Yeah.
All right.
But, so Google and Wikipedia and the internet know way more about me than I do.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask me, if you ask me what my social security number is, it would come up.
Well, we do have a question for you, actually, because it actually has 2 different dates for your birthday. So we were going to ask, when's your birthday? Is it August 31st or December 7th?
Well, I'll tell you. I'm not going to tell you.
Okay.
But I'll tell you why. Because it's very good.
Okay.
My reason is very valid. When my hair started turning gray, my roles changed. The people who called me changed.
Yeah.
So I didn't want anybody to know, and I was dyeing my hair for a while, which is the most ridiculous thing ever.
I agree.
Understandable, though.
I so agree.
But I got into that because I was living with a hairdresser for a while, and she was trying out different colors on my head because
Did you go purple?
I had black hair at the time.
Okay.
But so I knew all about dyeing, because she would always test stuff on my head. So she dyed my hair red one time, and it was awful. I mean, it was just, get that off of me. I'm not a redhead. I mean,
doesn't match the complexion.
So anyway, that's where I got the idea of her hair, but it didn't work. It's ridiculous. Okay, so I let it grow white. My hair was, and my rolls were changing. So I started to lie about my age to interview. I wouldn't tell them first of all, and then I would start saying, they would say, "Is yours like August 14th?" And I'd go, "Yeah."
Nice.
It doesn't pay to deny, or say I won't. Then they'll ask you why and blah. So if you just say yeah, then we go on to the next thing. Gotcha. Okay, so everybody would say a different date, and I would say yeah to all of them. And I got that technique of just saying yeah to everything from Federico Fellini and Bob Dylan, who in different interviews at different times in newspapers said almost the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. It's more interesting if you just say yeah, because you have to explain and you have to get into things. So just say yeah, and it becomes interesting. Or if you say, were you ever near death in any of your roles? And you go, yeah. And it makes the interview much more interesting.
Okay, brace yourself, Sophie. We have a yeah guy here.
Yeah. I'll be straight.
No, you're fine.
Because I'm not afraid anymore of losing jobs and stuff.
Oh yeah, right. No.
So, but Fellini did say that, and Bob Dylan said almost the same thing about, well, I get tired of answering the same questions, the same answer, so I just give different answers. I mean, it all seemed, valid. Okay, so that's why I don't. It just makes and it saves me time and explaining. So I won't answer.
Which we just asked you to do.
But here's the upside of not giving the right day. Mm-hmm. I've learned that there's now about 5 or 6 dates that are not my birthday that are out there. So every other month. Like 5 or 6 months, so every other month, 12 months. Every other month, I get a whole bunch of happy birthdays.
Oh my goodness!
That's great.
That is the best thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, people go, "Hey, Larry, it's the December 40th. Happy birthday!" Yeah, great.
December 40th.
I love that.
My birthday's
so
February 29th.
That's really why I do it.
All right, that's beautiful.
That's amazing.
A big upper every other month.
I love that. I love that, especially because my birthday is 2 weeks after Christmas. So it's like,
oh yeah, you get cheated, man.
I just get everything at the end of the year, beginning of the year, and then the rest of the year is silence.
yeah. So you got to stop giving alternate facts.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'll have to put that in my back pocket for sure. So yeah, we've been to your website, and A+ website, by the way. I love it. Whoever is running that it's great. But so we've read what's on your about page, but just for those who may not know or may not have been to your website, would you like to give us a quick little rundown of like how you got started and maybe some big things that you've done? I mean, you've been in so many things. I think on your website it says
in everything.
Yeah, over 150 films and TV shows, like from Friends and Seinfeld and Breaking Bad, and Escape from Alcatraz is a big one, which I loved. I absolutely loved that. Yeah, fantastic.
I was actually pretty good in it. Actually,
yeah, you're good in everything.
Because I don't, I make judgments about my acting. I watch it and I go, oh my.
We are our own worst critic, right?
Yeah.
But that one I take. I go, it's okay, yeah. Because the reason is because I didn't know what I was doing. It was my first big movie. I had no idea, and I was not only the youngest guy on the set, probably the youngest human being on the set, but also I was so new. I didn't know a lot of things. So the crew and the director and Clint Eastwood were just putting me on all the time.
Yeah.
It was until I finally worked my way out of it, but I got fed up. Is basically what happened, and I just blew up. And they go, "Whoa," I just said, "Fuck you, Daddy."
Yeah. No, I feel that.
I went off the deep end. I mean, I just forgot that I was an actor. I just another human being filled with a room of idiots.
Yeah.
And I just, and they go, "Oh, okay, back off, everybody, back off."
Yeah, no, I feel that. I'm the same way. Like I could put up with a lot of stuff, but once I get to that limit, like watch out, Mount Vesuvius is coming.
Oh, so you want me to do some an advertising now, or what?
Or just a quick little like, how'd you get into the business? And...
how I got into the business? Well, I didn't want to do anything. That's the first thing you got to know. I had a very dysfunctional family. I didn't like it at all. They didn't like me. I just wanted to get out of there. I've been wanting to run away since I was 10. So that, and I didn't do it until I was like 18 when I just went away to college, which was my way of running away.
Yeah.
Go to Syracuse or, just getting out of the house. But I was a good kid. That was my flaw, my one flaw. I was a good kid. So I listened to my parents, which was a big mistake.
This sounds
Kids, don't listen to your parents. Don't listen to your parents.
I agree. I agree on this.
Sophie, don't let your kids listen to this.
Yeah, I won't.
So I just wanted to get away from. So they wanted me to go to college, and I thought, I'd have a career. And I didn't want a career. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to go to college. I didn't want to go to school. I just want to hang out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought the best way to do it would be to go to a college out of town. So but I wanted to be a painter. These are my paintings here.
I was going to say they're beautiful.
Nice.
I was looking at them earlier.
Well, there's on the website. There's about 40 of them, and they're okay.
They're okay.
They're
They're beautiful.
Okay, we'll be here.
Okay.
If this is where he leaves because we're sick of us, okay.
You didn't even miss me. Not a tear in an eye. Just awful. Okay. So the reason I left is this is like special. Okay, you see this painting right here.
Mm-hmm.
That painting, it's like it's called Hood in a Hood in the Hood, and it costs $500. It's a what do you call it? It's a museum. It's museum ready. It's like museum ink. It's but for $13 to $18, you can get a T-shirt.
Oh, yes. How did you know that was more my budget? I freaking love it. That is so great.
It's all my fans' budget.
Oh, heck yeah. We are definitely put a link to that in the show notes.
And so here's another one. This one is right up here. This one, I face this all the time. And these are the two of my favorite. Well, these are the three favorite. That one, and this one right here.
Oh, yes. So I love elephants. I just love them.
And I painted all of them. So, okay. So,
wonderful.
Amazing. Wow, you have serious talent.
Well, yeah, because I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to be a painter or a clown. That's what I wanted to be.
Fair.
So, and they didn't want to hear any of that. Hey, you want to be a clown?
Well, then John Wayne Gacy came around and ruined it for everybody.
Well, this was way before. What was his name? Nancy, Hancy, the clown.
Yeah, John Wayne Gacy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Gacy, right? I even played him in a movie.
That's awesome.
What was the movie?
That is my one hidden. Nobody has ever mentioned that ever.
Well, it's nowhere. Okay.
It's probably somewhere.
Anywhere. Maybe it was never released. I've seen it. It was.
I mean, obviously, you know it because you did it.
It was a horror movie, and I played.
I love it.
Now, wait a minute. Did I play John? No. What I played was somebody who found the clues to John. Because I remember. Anyway, I was in that.
I love
movie.
it.
Okay, so how I got into showbiz. So I didn't want to do anything. I went to college, and in college I met. What I wanted to do was like be a clown or a painter, and there was no clowns universities.
Right.
So I was looking for art, and my parents was looking for like lawyer or doctor.
Of course. Yeah.
Of course, and that just got me more angry than I already was.
Yeah.
But I saw in Syracuse University, because I want to get out of town and get away from the house, I saw it said they had an industrial design department. And I was so naive, I locked on to design, meaning art. So I thought I'll go to Syracuse in the industrial design department and learn how to be a painter. But actually, it was more industrial design. So my parents, it's calculus and math and engineering and cars and chairs and toothbrushes and toothpaste tubes. It's just not my thing. So I met Carl Gottlieb, who wrote Jaws, the movie Jaws, at Syracuse. And we hung out together, and he was in a drama department. So you see where it's going now?
Oh, yes.
So I just hung around the drama department. But I was a really good student because the drawing stuff of the industrial design, but the engineering drawings and the cars with ollies on it, the little glistening chrome things, the stars, little stars. They're called ollies, by the way.
Oh, cool.
People with obscure, trivia knowledge.
We like Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah, with the shiny little things on the bumpers of cars that are drawn in Detroit. They're like little white stars glistening. And they're called ollies. I never knew that. And that's why I went to college.
That's cool.
That's what I learned in
That's
college.
what you learned at college.
Okay.
Good
so
education.
I hung around the drama department. I got into not acting, but being in plays in the drama department. And when we graduated, I was sent by Syracuse University. I was such a good art student, for engineering, industrial design. I was sent to Detroit to be in the Ford, matriculation, the A team, whatever it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
In college, they breed you into their system. And I didn't know that several colleges are tied to like Chevrolet and Ford and all those things. That you are trained. It's like you're a freshman.
Yeah.
And it's a 5-year course. It's not 4 years. It's 5 years.
Okay.
But you're trained like, like the A team in baseball, the minors. It was like the colleges of the minors of Detroit's car manufacturing people.
That makes sense.
Yes.
I'm not surprised.
When I went there and I looked around and they were showing us around, there was like 4 colleges. There were like a group of like 9 of us. And I just didn't like anything. I went with kind of an open mind. I didn't want to go to college in the first place. But when I got to Detroit, which is where I was supposed to go after graduation, that was just saying, like I would pick up a plaster of Paris cars on the desks that they made, because it took us to on like a Saturday when nobody was there. So I would pick up a car or something, I'd be looking at it, and the leader of the group who was taking us through this tour, he was a worker there. He was a designer there. And this was his day off, and he didn't like it. And so he said, "Oh, you really like that, huh?" And I go, "No, not really. I was just looking at it because it was like Ford, I think. Okay. Because I was just looking at it because I kind of expected more from Ford than this."
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So you could see there was he registered that. That was okay on Hankin. And then later on, they took us to the dining room, so there's this big, and it looked like a huge, very, very upscale New York restaurant, like on the top of a tower or something. Exquisite. That's the word, exquisite. And I go, wow, well, that turned me around. I go, wow, we eat here? That's amazing, man. Goes, no, the CEOs eat here. You eat at a cafeteria. And they go, no, why the hell did you show it to it? They just
right. I understand that.
What do you do? So when we got back, don't send us Larry Hankin.
I love that. No, well, it's good that Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
He wanted
I
this.
didn't know that it was perfect, but
Yeah.
that's what it was.
Bullet dodged.
So, excuse me?
Bullet dodged.
Yeah. But, well, no, I think it hit me square in the middle of the forehead. I mean, no, we don't want him.
Yeah.
Just...
But later on, in hindsight, you're like, okay.
In hindsight, but let's say bullet dodged.
Yeah.
For the newspapers. So I went to Carl and I said, hey, what are you doing after graduate? Because we were going to graduate at the same time. And he said, well, I'm going to New York. I want to be a writer. And I go, well, where are you going to live? And he said, I don't know. So I said, well, let's be roommates. I don't want to go to Detroit. So I phoned my parents and I said, I'm not going to Detroit. I got into a big fight on graduation night over a girl.
Oh.
And I got, I nearly got sent to the hospital. It was,
wow.
But I got in a couple of good shots, man.
Okay. Really, should have seen the other guy.
Great shot.
Should have seen the other guy, exactly.
If there was only a camera there. So I was so messed up in the fight, eye and arm, and it was just terrible. That I didn't go to graduation. So that kind of put the nail in the coffin of my relationships with my parents. I didn't go to graduation. So I went to Greenwich Village with Carl. We became roommates, and he got a job on a newspaper, reviewing films. And I got a job as cleaning duckboards in a bar from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. And I didn't look back at all. I never thought, boy, did I make a mistake. No, I loved it.
Good.
This is living.
Yeah.
Reality. And then I had my evenings free because 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. So in Greenwich Village, and every other store was a coffee house. I mean, it was just coffee houses forever. So
my dream.
I didn't know it, but I was voted funniest guy in high school.
I believe it.
2 years in a row. So I thought, well, I would go to the coffee houses waiting to go to my job. And I watched open mic nights, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and sometimes Thursday and Sundays. And I would just sign up for all of them. And I would just say, I'm funnier than these people, and I'm funnier certainly than the folk singers. So I thought, okay. And that's all I was stand-up guys and no girls, stand-up guys and folk singers. All girls,
folk singers.
Girls and guys, folk singers.
Okay.
Everybody was being a Joan Baez.
Of course.
Really weird. So I started to get up there. You get 3 minutes, 2 songs or 3 minutes, maybe 4. So I would get up there, and it was very difficult. It's not the same as making friends laugh or in high school. It's not the same. People want to, even if they're paying just $2 for a cup of coffee and they sit there all night, they don't boo, they don't say either they don't laugh or they sit there.
Ooh.
They do laugh. Well, no, that's really good, because if you're bad, like I was like awful, man.
So it was just silent?
It's not the same. It's not the same as just hanging and laughing and talking and laughing.
Right.
It's not. So, but they don't boo, they don't laugh. They'll just sit silently, which is a gift. Because it means no judgment. If you're on stage and they don't laugh, well, okay, that joke is not good, but it's not me they're booing, or they're not booing, because they're not there for me. They're there for their friends 3 minutes. So They're waiting for their friend to go on. So they're not going to boo you, because then you're going to boo their friends.
Mm-hmm. So that makes a lot of sense.
It's silent agreement that, okay, just do your 3 minutes, get off, and get my friend on there and laugh for him or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's what I was doing, and I started getting good. My learning curve was incredible. So I was opening for Woody Allen within 6 months. Just
nice.
Dang.
It worked out. It worked out. So, and then I got his manager, which was probably the best manager in show business. It was Jack Rollins. I mean, he's famous.
Yeah.
So I started to tour, and then I was in show business. That's how I got.
That's awesome.
There you go.
Perfect.
And then I didn't want to be in stand-up because once you got out of Greenwich Village and you started talking about drugs and marijuana and saying fuck on stage, they started to boo and throw things.
Oh.
Even I was opening for Kingston Trio, and that's not my audience. And neither was Woody Allen's audience. I started to see, because we both had the same manager, so he's just booking us together. And he would be the headliner and I would be the opening act. But after a while, after we got away from New York and started to travel, they would be packed houses for him, and they didn't want me on stage,
Right.
So and Woody and Jack understood that.
Yeah.
So there was my ticket to fortune and fame. Was gone. But then I started opening for really cool people, like cool and other things. Miles Davis. I was opening for Miles Davis. That was kind of cool, man. Yeah.
Right.
He wanted me to tour in Europe. He was going to Europe right after this gig. He was going to Europe. He said, "Why don't you come along?" And I said, "No," because it was like terra incognita. I just didn't know what was there. The 60s, I don't know. I thought my fame was here in the United States, which is not a bad thought,
Right.
But I should have went. But okay. And then I did the Playboy circuit, with all the bunnies. So, and I did the Playboy midnight show, the television show, the Playboy TV show with all the bunnies, and Hugh Hefner was, and Tommy Smothers and the Smothers Brothers. Here's an interesting piece of trivia, because I was on their show. And I never got high. I didn't get high until very late in life, doing drugs. But I spoke about it, and I hung around with musicians and the rock and roll crowd, and everybody's doing. I mean, I must have gotten like a contact high because everybody's smoking. And I just feel like it had nothing to do with no or against drugs, because I talked about it on stage, and my friends and blah, blah, blah. No, I just didn't feel like it. I mean, it was that simple. And then finally I did, but that was later on. So on the Playboy Hugh Hefner show, it was with me and the Smothers Brothers. It was a half-hour show, and we were the guests. Smothers Brothers and me. Well, I had never met the Smothers Brothers, but I always thought they were great. And they were very friendly to me, and we talked backstage. But that was all, hey, how you doing, blah, blah, blah. But when we got on, I was with them. See, the Hefner show is you sat on a couch. And how it was there was a bunny on the armchair, on the armrest of the couch. And that was the set was the couch. So there was a bunny sitting on the armrest. And then there was Hugh Hefner sat next to her. And then, no, wait a minute. It was Hugh Hefner who was sitting on the armrest, and the bunny was sitting next to me. Then there was me. Then there was Tommy. Then there was his brother. And then there was another bunny sitting on the other armrest.
Okay.
So that was the show. And then Hugh would ask me questions. Well, right before the show. Now, I'd never gotten high before, ever on anything. So there I was on the show, and all my friends, this is the first famous thing that I had ever done in LA or New York, but it was in a big city where I had friends.
Okay.
My friends came to the show, and I was in the green room, and each one of us, Smothers Brothers and me, had our own green room. So all my friends came into my green room, and they said, "Okay, so are you going to get high before the show?" And I said, "Well, no, I don't get high, but if you guys want to get high, go ahead." So they got high, but they brought not marijuana, but they brought hash. Now, hash, for those of you who don't know, I doubt it.
Take it away, Larry.
Is much stronger. So they're all getting high, and I'm thinking, well, I'm getting a contact high. I might as well get high. What the fuck? Because I hung around with the rock and roll crowd. I was opening for rock and roll acts before I got, Jack Rollins. So I knew they all got high before doing the show. So I thought, okay, I'll get high like the musicians before the show. No sweat. So I got high on hash. I brought a pipe. I got high. and I just felt high. And then they go, "You're on." And I went out, and I sat on the couch, and Hugh Hefner goes, so how's the first interview,
Right.
Okay, Larry. So now what he does is, and they do it, all shows do this, all interview shows, they do this. What they do is they know your act. So they ask you questions that set up your act so you can be funny and do your act while talking to Hugh Hefner, So he said, "Well, Larry, what do you think about, some subject that was in my act?" And then I was supposed to go on about that. So he said, "Well, Larry, what about blah, blah, blah?" And I was high. The times kind of stretches out.
Yeah.
So I went, "Oh, yeah." So, well, and Tommy, who really liked me. Now, I didn't know this, but they knew my act. They hung around with other people, say, "Hey, there's Larry Hankin. He opened for us. He's really funny." And then I was doing some local television shows, whatever. But Tommy knew my act. I don't know how that happened. So I'm going, yeah, well, I think, I was dealing with this monkey and Tommy says, "Yeah, it was about the monkey, man. Do the thing about the monkey. Remember the monkey thing with the marzipan." And yeah, the marzipan. So, and then Tommy saw what was, the both of them knew exactly what was going on. And Hugh Hefner, I think everybody did.
Yeah.
Hi. So Tommy started doing my act for me. He's not apologizing to Hugh Hefner. He's saying, no. What he's talking about is he there was like a monkey with a marzipan. I don't know how that went, but I was talking about a monkey and a marzipan. That's from my act.
Right.
So he said, blah, 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 blah. And Hugh Hefner was just angry as hell.
Oh, no.
Sitting there staring at me while Tommy is doing my act. And then he said, "Well, okay." And then he interrupted Tommy, and he goes, "Okay, thanks, Tommy. Let's talk about the Smothers Brothers now." And he just forgot about me. No, hey, man, it's called life.
Yep.
It's called show business.
And honestly, you were high, so I don't know if that helped the situation. You didn't care.
I didn't care.
Move on.
I was high. I mean, I knew I had done something untoward. But I thought, well, I think this is going to be it for the Playboy Club, which is true. I mean, I just, Hankin, no more. But I had done it. So,
we all do that. We all make we all make those kinds of dishes.
That was I don't want to go into the real mistakes I made. But so I thought, okay, fine. I blew the Playboy Club tour. I did about 4 or 5 of them, and then I did the show, and then But so I'm in show business, and I called my agent, my manager Jack, and I said, "Look, I can't do this. I PO'd Hugh Hefner. They're booing me when I'm on the stage. They're coming at me with bottles every time I talk about drugs. Or why don't you book me on the Ed Sullivan Show or on TV like you're doing with Woody? Woody is all over the place, man. He's playing Las Vegas. Why don't you do that?" Woody has TV material, Larry. What do you mean with material? I just get up and talk about my day. Yeah, well, you can't say fuck and talk about marijuana on television now, Larry. And so that's why I'm not booking you. Get some TV material. And I didn't write anything, I talked about what I talked about, my day and who I hung out with and stuff like that. And it seemed to work in Greenwich Village and with certain crowds. Generally, the people in the back were laughing. I said, blah, 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 blah. Okay, this is for the people in the back. I'm going to talk about marijuana. And
the good time people.
Laugh. Because they didn't want to come up front and be seen high or.
Yeah.
So, but that's how it kind of went. It was fun for me, really. Being the outlier, the guy who was cursing on stage and marijuana in the early days, because Lenny Bruce was doing it and he was being beaten up by cops and they were driving him to heavier and heavier drug use. And they wouldn't let him gun on the stage. I've seen him 3 times, in person. And when he was in the beginning, I've seen him in the middle, when he was just the best.
Yeah.
He was getting high, but it hadn't affected him. It was helping him.
Yeah. Right.
Then I saw what it did to him. And I went to that show. And that was the show that they filmed. So if you ever go see Lenny Bruce, there's a documentary. That was the one I was at.
Okay. I'll definitely look into that.
Where I was going, everybody thought that's where I was going.
Yeah.
Don't. But it was horrible what they did to it. So anyway, and then he said, my agent said, well, if you don't like what they're doing, then join Second City. They own the theater. They talk about the same thing as Lenny and George Carlin and Richie Pryor, but they own the theater. So if people come at you with a beer bottle, which they were doing, they'll throw the guy out. And besides, as you said, the stage at Second City is 3 to 4 feet high. So we'd have to climb up on the stage, and you have other people backstage to help you if you get in a fight. So
perfect.
That helped a lot.
I love it.
So, yeah, that's why I liked him. He always had answers. But that's what I did. I joined Second City. I auditioned. I got the job. And so I was into improv, and then we got from there. A group of us moved away from there, left, and went to San Francisco and opened our own theater called The Committee. And that was Second City in San Francisco. And from the Committee, I went to Hollywood because all the people from Hollywood who didn't have enough money or didn't have enough time to fly all the way to Chicago, stay overnight and fly back. San Francisco for $35 round trip, 1967. Round trip ticket to $35. You fly up, see the first show, fly back. Boom. An hour trip both ways. And $35. And so they were hiring us. They would fly up, see the show. Oh, this is as good as Second City. Let's hire this guy. So we were flying back and forth. We had our permanent gig, which was The Committee, 5-6 days a week, nights a week. And then we'd take off. You can, if you're improving, you can take off because somebody can improv your part. There's nothing is written down. And when you come back, you go, all right, now what are you saying? Now, where are the jokes? What happened to what I was saying that was funny? Well, you can go back to yours or you can use what he was doing,
Right.
So they would go down, get a lot of money for a day's work or a week's work. Somebody would fill in for you. They'd come back, and then guess what? They would go down and wouldn't come back.
There we go.
So all the really good improvisers were being shakabuku'd, kidnapped with big money. So I lost all my acting improv mates, the people who started it. So the second and third and fourth companies were not as good because they weren't trained by Second City.
Right.
Just actors from San Francisco, not even, because nobody would fly back. Nobody would come back.
Right.
They would all, come back, stay, and that was it. And so I did the same thing.
Great. It was time for you too.
Don't fight it. The money was just unbelievable.
Right.
I mean, $500 a week, and there you get like maybe 5,000 a week. I mean, you just go down for a week. You can get 5,000, or maybe 1,500 even was better than 500. So, and then, I got an agent, Laverne and Shirley.
I love that show.
Penny Marshall came up, she flew up, $35 round trip. Boom, she came up. Everybody's coming up, all the big stuff. So she came up, and I got a phone call from Laverne and Shirley Productions. Hey, Penny Marshall came up there, saw a tall guy, Larry somebody. Larry. So she wants to do a dance with him. They're doing a prom night. She needs a dance partner. He's a physical comedian. Tell him to call us. So I called, and they said, come on down. She wants you in the show. You don't have to audition. Just come on down. She saw the show. I mean, that's the audition.
Right.
Come down. So I auditioned with Penny. I did the show. I danced with her. Funny stuff. And she's great. She's a clown. See, she's a clown in the best sense of the word.
Yep.
She does pratfalls. She thinks like a clown. She knows how to construct a funny sequence of events to get the laugh. She's great, man.
Mm-hmm.
She was great. I think she's passed away now. I think she, I think so. But anyway, she was great. But that's how I got my agent down there. See, my agent Jack said, I don't do acting. I'm a nightclubs. I booking Woody and stuff.
Right.
So I got an agent through her through that show, and there you go. Here I am talking to you.
Beautiful. I love it.
Beautiful.
I did 100. Actually, because I find out how many shows I do from interviewees who do research. Interviewers who do research.
Well, that's
Larry Hankin, he did 150 shows. Well, now it's up to 192, I think.
Ooh.
Wow. Well, that's the whole thing about our show is we were born in the 80s. Our parents were way older than people our age. Their parents.
Our parents are actually
in their 40s when we were born. So we missed a lot of 80s everything, and we missed the 80s movies.
Well, that was
specifically.
The 80s. Yeah. 80s was my big time.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, and we didn't know that, and so we didn't do as much research because we wanted to hear from you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, great. Well, that's fine. That's
so,
fine.
You can tell us now how many movies you've been in. Thanks, interviewers.
Well, according to you, 192 or 150.
Perfect.
It could be 5 for all I care.
Right. So this is kind of a 2-part question. What is your favorite project that you've worked on, and why was it Star Trek? I'm just kidding. Just what is your favorite project? I'm a Trekkie, so.
What's going on?
She looked it up. She knew.
Mm-hmm.
So what was my favorite, and what was so ask the question again. What was my my favorite?
What was your favorite project that you've worked on? Like, you've done acting. You've also done the Solly's Diner was amazing.
That was my favorite.
Yeah,
there we go.
It was mine. That got an Academy Award nomination. I wrote, directed, and starred in it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And then I never did another. Well, I did a lot of them after that, but they never got an Academy Award after that. I got lazy. I thought, well, I'll just ride on that one.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite, well, I guess my favorite has to be Escape from Alcatraz, Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah.
But those are just because of the shows and my part. In other words, I was, before I got on those shows, I was hooked on them. You know,
yes.
So
Billy, you have to watch Breaking Bad.
I know, I do.
Well, me, just watch.
Okay, I'll watch it for you.
Okay, just watch Old Joe.
Just watch Old Joe. Okay.
1 Breaking Bad and 1 in El Camino.
Okay.
And Escape from Alcatraz, because I was on it for 3 months, and it was a tentpole movie, a lot of money, and big stars, Clint Eastwood and Don Siegel was directing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just everything all at once. I got mad, I got angry, I was funny, I was this, I was that. I just did the whole thing in the 3 months.
Wow.
I had arguments with the director, I had arguments with Clint Eastwood, we were buddies with the director, I was buddies with Clint Eastwood, I acted with Clint Eastwood, I was directed by, it was just the whole thing, it was just great. I saw, and there was hundreds of people, and it was on Alcatraz, and I saw where the Indians were. I explored, down to where the Indians took over in the 60s. I saw the Indian paintings on the wall. They painted,
man.
They like running horses and teepees where nobody else had gone. I was standing on the island of Alcatraz in this gray, dusty dirt. I had a flashlight. There was no light down there. I was in the cellar. I was on the island, and Alcatraz, the prison, was above me. The ceiling was about that high.
Wow.
I was walking around, and the Indians had been down there, and that's where they left their mark. Like it was like I kept on thinking, I'm going to find a hand spray painted on the wall, like Neanderthal time. It was that I got into that headspace, and it was. But it was like teepees and horses and cops, cop cars, red lights, and handcuffs. They did their whole relationship to the California Police Department.
Oh, yeah.
Up on the wall, graffiti, the whole thing, and fires and hits and everything. I always wondered where the smoke went, because the walls were covered with smoke. But this was the cellar. Nobody was down there. There was only one door, and I had it was like a maze to get down there. It took me a couple of hours on my day off. I would go into work on my day off. I just wanted to be there.
Yeah, that sounds so cool.
So that stands out very big, and my performance was pretty good too. But what I'm trying to think of is something. Was there something special? Even if it was a small part that just stands out. Well, Kramer, yeah. Doing Kramer, that was really I went all out on that one. Because I was a good friend of Michael Richards. First of all, we knew each other way before the show, and he suggested me to do that part. And I was up for Kramer in the beginning, but he got it. And when I saw it, I thought, "Hey, man, go for it, man." He was much better doing it. He's an outside. I'm an inside.
Yeah.
He's big, and I go back. So like him coming through the door, that was all those ways of coming through the door.
Yeah, and right.
I had to conquer that for the audition. That's all I did. I auditioned 5 times when I should have got it the first time. And each time Larry David said, "Go through the door." I don't know did he like me coming through the door, or I wasn't doing it right and he didn't know, do it again. But I was getting angry because there's this bald guy, Larry David. I don't know who he was. This bald guy who kept saying, he wouldn't say anything. We were in the auditioning room and everybody saying, play the part, and then they said, "Okay, thank you very much." And I go, "Oh, is that it?" "Yeah, thank you." And as I went out, he would say, wait. And that was the only time he spoke, 5 times each time. He said, wait, go through the door and come in again, or go through the door and come in. like Kramer. I'd go in and I'd come out, And it was
very
just
bizarre.
I was going to hit him one time. I was going to, but luckily, because I had an attitude problem. So when I went out, you wait outside and you just sit around. And there was nobody who looked like Seinfeld, like Kramer, like Michael, except me, tall, thin, and everybody was short people, fat people, beards, bald people, and me. I this was a shoo-in. I got this 5 times. So on the 5th time, when he said, "Go out and come in again," and I went out, and there was a secretary there also with people waiting. And I just whispered to her. I was the last person, so there was nobody else there. And I said, "Who is the fucking guy who keeps telling me to come out and go in the door again? He does that every time. Who is that?" And she said, "That's Larry David. He writes the show. He's one of the producers."
At least you said it to her and not him.
At least you got that info.
Now, she could have, gone out to have a sandwich or gone to the bathroom. If she wasn't there, I was going to go holler at it. I was going to say, "What the fuck?" And I just, thank God.
Yeah.
Because there's nobody else in the room. I was the last guy. And each time that I auditioned, I never saw, because you sat in the waiting room, and then you'd go into the room. And then when I came out, he says, "Go out and come in again." I would go out into the room where there was everybody else waiting to go in next. But I never saw any of them, while I was waiting, come in and go out again, like
right.
Kramer. It's only me. And that's what was bugging me, and on the 5th time, there was nobody else in the room, and he still, for some reason, made me go out and come in again. I was going to, but I didn't. I went in and I did it nicely for him. But I got the job, and I loved it because what they did when I was hired, and this was a gift, man. Nobody else has ever done this, but they sent me a tape once I got the job the next day, delivered to my door, my apartment door, was a tape of the scene that Michael Richards did. The part I was playing in the show was an actual outtake of a show, not an outtake, a show, an episode. It was an episode, and they wanted me to do that. So they sent me, that was the audition piece. So I just watched it about 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And I was not acting. I was just imitating exactly what I saw, what Michael Richards did. Well, when they filmed it and I watched it, I said, wow, man, did I nail Michael, man? I mean, that was really good.
Yeah.
So, whether or not it was good or not, that's my opinion. But just my desire to do Kramer the best I could, I put in more work than I'd ever done in any other, part I've ever.
Oh, it showed. I remember that episode, and it was. Oh yeah.
And I just liked it because of what I did and the intensity of my desire. The intensity of my desire to do a good job was my takeaway. Not what I did, but the intensity of. So I kept saying, Larry, if you ever want to do something, remember what the time and energy you're putting into this. But I never ran across a job that I cared about that much. Because I never want to do anything. I don't want to do anything.
I don't want to do anything. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I love that. Hey, just real quick on the recording, we have probably about 6 minutes left before I think we get kicked out. Do we want to ask one more question and then say our goodbyes? I think we should ask about the remake one. What do you think, Billy?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, perfect. If you could pick a movie that was made in the 80s or 70s, 80s, maybe 90s, what would you pick that would be remade today? That you think would be awesome?
That hasn't been made yet?
Yes.
Or if you'd like to remake, you can
remake, whatever you want.
Well, Rafifi comes to mind.
Rafifi.
But I'll tell you, okay, and anything that Truffaut in his early years made, I'd love to see. But nobody would make Rafifi as good as those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The new wave, the French new wave was just, that's pajamas, man. But other than that, there is one foreign film short, a documentary.
Okay.
Well, actually, it's a film. It's a documentary, but it's an hour and a half or an hour, called Man Bites Dog. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
That's my favorite film of all time.
Man Bites Dog.
It's a German film school student.
Okay.
Film, and it was released. And it's out there. I've looked it up. You can Wikipedia it or Google it or whatever you want. But it's a documentary that was made in around 1960. It was made by 3 German film school students in Germany, in a German film school. And it's been around to this day. And it's the greatest premise for a film I've ever come across. And they pulled it off. These 3.
Okay. Cool.
They're in it. And I'll just tell you the premise. It's 3 film students. This is the premise. And it was an assignment for graduation. The premise is 3 film students have to make a film to graduate, and they can't come up with an idea. And they're racking their brains, and immediately they go to a bar to talk about it. They go to the bar, and they're drinking, and right almost next to them is a guy getting drunk and talking about bullshit. But they say, let's interview him and see if he has an interesting story, because the guy is just all over the place. So it's 2 film students, and the 3rd film student is the drunk. So they're acting in it, and they're directing it too.
Okay.
So the drunk is a film student, one of the makers, and he's drunk, and he's stupid and he's foolish. So that's the kind of drunk he is, stupid and foolish. And they start talking to him, and he admits to them that he's a serial killer.
Wow.
Okay, I need to watch this.
So drunk. And they're buying him drinks to keep, getting the story, and finally get him so drunk, he admits, I'm a serious killer. I kill people. They look at it, 2 guys look at one another.
Yeah.
Here's the film.
Yeah, right.
It's beautiful.
And
That's
so
awesome.
they say, are you serious? And he's serious. And they said, well, can we follow you around? Sure. Yeah, sure. What the fuck? Yeah. And so they follow a serial killer around.
Oh, that is great.
That's the premise. And it gets pretty hairy.
We'll have to definitely watch it.
Yeah, we're going to find that. We're going to...
Man Bites Dog.
Man Bites Dog.
I'll put links to some things.
You know, now it's a real. I mean, as far as a real film, in other words, it's a mockumentary. It's not a real documentary,
right?
Yeah.
But it does follow all the stations of the cross of making a movie for a graduation film to get graduated from a German film school. In other words, as you know, first act, second act, third act. You know, it has all the elements of film.
I love it.
Okay.
You know, so it hits all the stations, but the premise is so, and they don't let them.
It's great. It's like meta but clever.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. So there you go. And okay, so before you go, I got to do commercial for thereallarryhankin.com, which is my website.
Ooh, nice.
So that's where you can see these films. That's you can see these paintings. I got 40 of them up there. They all can be put on T-shirts, anyone you want. I showed you 2 of them. Or you can get the T-shirts there. I got a book on there called The Loopholes Dossier. It's just a satire of fables and mockumentaries.
I love that. I'm gonna have to get that.
So you can buy it because I don't know. You can get it on that. But I'm got a new book coming out in about 6 months. I'm getting a literary agent right now called That Guy. We talked.
I was going to say, is it that guy?
Is it that guy?
And that's about the show business stories I've been telling you and
that's
more.
So cool.
That's
so
beautiful.
It's about 45 of my films that I made out of the 150 or whatever.
Or the 192.
One or the other.
Whatever. But there's 45 films and I talk about what happened to me on them. Like I'm talking.
That's awesome.
Wonderful.
So there you go.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It was a pure joy to talk to you today. It was amazing.
Oh, it was great talking to you.
Yeah.
The Silver Screen Sisters, right? Is that it?
Yes.
Yep.
That's us. Have you listened to any of the episodes, or are you interested in any of them?
I'm sorry. Say that again.
Oh, I was just wondering if you did your research and looked into any of the episodes
of yours.
Yeah.
No
pressure.
I don't want to.
That's totally fine. I mean, I love honesty, so you're good.
Yep.
No, I won't. I've done it. I do 2 or 3 a week. The last 2 years.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And stuff. Okay, so in the beginning, I did it to sell El Camino, and then I did it because I was a good interviewee. So they wanted to say, hey, can we interview you about you? So I did that. And I started looking, and it was fun. But then I started to see, I don't know if I want to do this one.
Yeah.
Because I would see what. So I stopped. I said, no, that's not cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just stopped. I don't.
Well, I think we're cool, but
Oh, I think we're very cool. So some interviews, very few, turn out to be not as funny as others. But most of them turn out to be great, man.
Oh,
so
good.
I like diving in and not knowing what it's going to be about. I'm an improviser. That's where I come from.
That's your bread and butter. That's awesome.
That's how I live my life. So we appreciate you so much.
Life is an improv. Yeah.
Exactly.
Life is an improv. Exactly. Thank you so much, Larry.
Okay, thank you.
And you have a wonderful day.
Send me a link.
When we release, we will absolutely send you a link. So.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you, Larry. You take care. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others and leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from us, check out our website at silverscreensisters.com. Silver Screen Sisters 80s edition is hosted by Billy and Sophie. Editing is done by Sophie, and cover art was done by Billy, with special illustration work done by Bacencia. Intro and outro music composed by Future Mono, and hold music composed by the Mini Vandals. This is a Silver Screen Sisters production and is powered by Coffee and Yoga Pants.